Afghanistan is often imagined today only through the lens of war and conflict, but if you peel back the modern headlines, you discover a land that was once the beating heart of civilization. For more than 2,000 years, Afghanistan lay at the center of the Silk Road, the vast network of trade routes that stretched from China to the Mediterranean. Imagine long caravans of camels carrying silk, spices, gemstones, and manuscripts, their bells echoing through deserts and mountain passes. But it wasn't just goods that moved, ideas traveled, too. Buddhism, for instance, spread from India through Afghanistan, leaving behind extraordinary legacies like the Bamiyan Buddhas, towering statues carved into cliffs nearly 1,500 years ago. Though destroyed in 2001, their empty niches still tell a story of a time when Afghanistan was a center of learning and spirituality. Later, Greek influences arrived after the conquests of Alexander the Great, and you can still see traces of Hellenistic art in ancient Afghan sculptures, figures of the Buddha with wavy hair and flowing robes, looking almost like statues from Athens. Persian poets, such as Rumi, who was born in the Afghan city of Balkh, gave the region a literary soul, while Islamic scholars transformed cities like Herat and Ghazni into thriving centers of philosophy, astronomy, and architecture. Walking through the ruins of these cities today, you can almost hear the whispers of scholars debating under the stars, or craftsmen carving intricate tilework that still glimmers under the Afghan sun. This mosaic of cultures, Greek, Persian, Indian, Islamic, didn't just pass through Afghanistan, it fused together here, creating something unique. That's why Afghanistan isn't just a crossroads of history, it's a living archive of humanity's shared journey, written in stone, art, and poetry. Behind its rugged mountains lies a story of connection, creativity, and resilience that the world too often forgets. Far from the headlines and the highways, there are corners of this country where the earth seems to perform its own quiet miracles. In the central highlands lie a string of lakes carved into limestone, each basin rimmed by pale travertine terraces that catch the light like layers of blown glass. Rainwater and mountain streams, heavy with dissolved minerals, slowly built those natural dams over centuries, and today the pools sit in impossible shades of blue and green, deep, clear, and almost luminous, reflecting cliffs and the slow drift of clouds. Locals tell stories about how the water's color changes with the mood of the sky. Scientists explain it as chemistry and geology working on geological time. But either way, standing at the edge you feel very small and very awake at once. Further east, a narrow strip of land threads between jagged borders and reaches toward the high Pamirs, a remote corridor where summer pastures climb into the clouds. Up there, Wakhi and Kyrgyz herders still move with the seasons, leading flocks across alpine meadows dotted with wildflowers and ancient cairns. Wildlife that seems more at home in storybooks prowls and grazes these heights, snow leopards ghosting along ridgelines, great horned sheep balancing on steep ledges, and solitary ibex making impossible jumps. The people who live here keep knowledge that's been handed down for generations: how to read the weather by the smell of the air, where to find the sweetest spring water, which grasses fatten the sheep fastest. Places like these resist easy headlines. They are reminders that beyond politics and power, there are landscapes and lives that hold their own slow, stubborn beauty, and that beauty often carries the oldest, simplest kind of wisdom. Far from the headlines, Afghanistan unfolds like a living museum, layered with stone, thread, and songs stitched together over millennia. From dusty northern bazaars where traders barter over dried fruits and copperware, to Herat's turquoise-tiled mosques that echo with the memory of poets and scholars, every town carries its own story in smell, color, and craft. Beneath the mountains of Badakhshan, miners still extract the ultramarine lapis lazuli that once painted kings' robes and cathedral murals half a world away. In the fields, women harvest saffron threads from delicate purple flowers, a slow, precious work that marks the rhythm of village life. Craft and art are identity here. Women weave carpets with motifs that tell family histories, metal workers forge intricate jewelry, and felt tents of nomads are embroidered with stories of tribe and season. Music, poetry, and architecture preserve memory. The rubab's haunting notes accompany daily life, tilework ripples like water on mosques, and caravanserais recall travelers crossing empires. Nature adds its own lessons: seasonal floods, alpine wildflowers, and the hidden highland pastures that teach patience through the rhythm of snow, frost, and grazing flocks. In every courtyard and valley, ordinary acts, sharing tea, racing kites, weaving, cooking, keep Afghanistan's culture alive. Its history is not a single headline but 1,000 small, stubborn continuities: a miner's lamp burning at dusk, a weaver's indigo-stained fingers, a poet reciting under a plane tree. Those details are the country's true archive, intimate, resilient, and alive. Afghanistan is a land of hidden corridors and soaring peaks, where nature and history collide in ways that feel almost magical. In the remote Wakhan corridor, high in the Pamir Mountains, narrow valleys cradle villages that have changed little in centuries. Here, shepherds guide their flocks across terraces of emerald pasture, while snow-capped peaks loom above like silent guardians. Life is dictated by the seasons. Harsh winters force long retreats indoors, while brief summers burst with wildflowers, streams, and migratory birds that pass through this quiet corridor on their ancient routes. The region is also home to extraordinary craftsmanship. In towns like Herat, artisans still create exquisite hand-painted manuscripts and intricate calligraphy that preserve centuries of Persian literary tradition. Carpets woven with geometric precision carry hidden codes, family symbols, spiritual motifs, even maps of the land itself. Every thread, every knot, is a story handed down through generations, a reminder that culture survives even amid the harshest landscapes. Afghanistan's rivers carve deep gorges, and its mountains are dotted with remnants of empires long gone. Buddhist stupas, Greco-Roman influenced statues, and medieval Islamic architecture all coexist in a patchwork that tells of travelers, conquerors, and scholars who once passed through this crossroads of the world. Even the simple act of walking through an ancient bazaar can feel like stepping through time. The aroma of cardamom tea mingles with roasted nuts, elders barter with practiced gestures, and children dart between stalls as they have for centuries. Despite centuries of conflict, Afghanistan's land and people are resilient. Nature teaches patience, art preserves memory, and daily life carries continuity, the spinning of a loom, the singing of a shepherd, the recitation of poetry under a plane tree. Every corner tells a story, every face reflects a legacy, and every mountain pass reminds visitors that Afghanistan is not just a country, it is a living tapestry of human endurance, creativity, and connection. Afghanistan is a land where history whispers from every stone and the mountains seem to hold their own memories. In the valleys of Bamiyan, long before modern borders existed, civilizations rose and fell, leaving behind traces that still capture the imagination. The towering niches that once held the Bamiyan Buddhas, though destroyed, speak to a time when spiritual devotion and artistic mastery converged, carving serenity into cliffs that overlook vast, silent plains. Travel east to the city of Balkh, once called the mother of cities, and you step into a place that was a hub of trade, learning, and culture for centuries. Scholars debated philosophy and astronomy under candlelight, poets composed verses that spread across empires, and merchants carried goods along routes that connected distant lands. Even today, the remnants of brickwork, mosaic tiles, and ancient wells hint at the city's former vibrancy, as if history itself lingers in the shadows. Afghanistan's natural beauty mirrors its cultural richness. The Hindu Kush Mountains stretch like a jagged spine across the country, hiding alpine meadows, turquoise lakes, and snow-fed rivers that sustain communities in isolated valleys. Here, nomadic herders move with the seasons, passing down knowledge of edible plants, medicinal herbs, and grazing patterns that have guided their families for generations. Wildlife, from snow leopards to ibex, navigates the same rugged terrain, a reminder that life here is a delicate balance between human survival and the untamed wilderness. Craft and tradition permeate daily life. In Herat and Mazar-i-Sharif, artisans still produce hand-woven carpets, intricate jewelry, and hand-painted manuscripts, preserving techniques that have been refined over centuries. Each object is more than a product, it is a story, a symbol, and a piece of living history. Even simple daily rituals, like preparing tea with friends or tending a garden, reflect a continuity that binds generations together, demonstrating resilience in the face of challenge. Afghanistan is not simply a land of conflict or headlines. It is a place where mountains, rivers, and people carry stories that stretch back millennia. To walk its streets, climb its passes, or sit in its quiet courtyards is to feel the pulse of a civilization that has endured, adapted, and thrived against the odds, a testament to the enduring spirit of both land and people.